I know. Usually I have like a much more fun introduction, but like I sort of lost the pre-recorded music I used to do. So just imagine this amazing music and my Cassie dance and pose. Still got it. So thanks everyone for coming out on this freezing cold day, audience people and the actual performers. I was like, are we gonna cancel? So anyway, Brava. So if you don't know, I'll just give you a quick backstory. I think it was on this stage, I was doing a benefit in the late 90s, and I was introducing someone, and I was chatting with them a little bit about their career. Like, you know, I love talking about, like, funny things that happen on stage, and David Friedman was in the audience. David Friedman, who wrote, you know, Help is on the Way, and conducted all the Disney movies, and he was like, oh, I love it. He said, how you're such a fan of people. He said, you're an insider, but you're such a fan. And I was like, I am. And, I don't know. I just started thinking like, and also just FYI, I was always annoyed when I would watch Broadway people interviewed on TV because it was always like a 2-minute. First of all, thank you. 2-minute story. People knew nothing. Like when I was doing the Funny Girl concert for the Actors Fund, Jane Krakowski was interviewed, and they were literally like, "So Jane, you're doing Funny Girl, but we hear this time it's a musical." What? I was literally like, I don't know what information. Like he just weirdly scans. So like, I don't know what you're talking about. And then one time. Faith Prince had this like go-to story about like whenever she's nervous, she like cooks, she makes pancakes, and when she was waiting to know if she was nominated for the Tony Award, she was making pancakes. And I was watching the Tonight Show with Jay Leno, that hack, and I can't, Republican also. But anyway, I remember he was like, now where were you when you won the Tony Award? And she was like, I was making pancake. It was like a crazy, like, she wanted to give her pancake story, but like he set it up wrong. But anyway, I was like, no one knows anything. So I was like, I would love to actually interview Broadway people instead of having like a 2-minute soundbite, actually get real Broadway stories out of them. So anyway, I asked Sydney, who runs Don't Tell Mamas and books this for 1,000 years, good old Sydney Meyer, everyone's biggest fan. By the way, I don't know why I'm playing to the right box seats. I don't know. By the way, no one's sitting up there. Anyway, I asked Sydney, I have no idea. I asked Sydney if I could do this talk show, and I really was like, I don't know if I could do a talk show. Like, what am I going to talk about? Like, I really was like, it's so interesting because now I'm just like, oh my God, I love talking to people. But then I was like, how am I going to talk? What am I going to talk to them about? I have no idea. It was so weird to me. And now, you know, then I got, and P.S., just on a side note, a couple years after, so I started doing this every week. I started doing the Chatterbox every week, and I would do pre-interviews because I used to work on the Rosie O'Donnell show as a comedy writer, and they would do pre-interviews. You got to stop applauding nothing. But they would do pre-interviews where they would like call the artists and get these stories in advance. So I would always do that. But then I was just like, I don't need to get the stories in advance. I just want to just make them fresh. Anyway, my point is I started doing it for a couple of years. And then I was interviewed on SiriusXM radio about this play that I did. And the guy that ran the Broadway channel was like, oh, have you ever thought about hosting anything? And I was like, I do something called the Chatterbox, and I gave him a recording of myself on the Chatterbox because I taped it, and that's how I got my job at SiriusXM. So I could weirdly, like, completely, like, change my career doing this Chatterbox. So I began it in 1999 in December. It was literally in December. That's why this is literally the 20-year anniversary, and I've been doing it as a. That's so literal, right? And it was I was just a head back then, but then this all grew. Anyway, so. It's been a fundraiser for Broadway Cares Equity Fights AIDS for all those years. And actually, Tom Viola came to see me do this, and that's why he asked me to host Gypsy of the Year, which is now the Red Bucket Follies. And now I think this is like my 12th year hosting that. So weirdly, like this Chatterbox has like helped me like in so many different ways. So when I began in December 1999, I asked my two friends that I was doing a Broadway show with to be my first guest ever, and they're literally both here today. So please welcome to the stage Paul Castry and Paige Price. Come on up, guys. So by the way, just on a first side note, we were, before the show began, talking about horrific injuries because Paige is about to get shoulder surgery. So why don't you guys go through all the injuries shows have caused you? Go.
Chorus line back.
Well, let me see Chorus line back, because what's it from?
Chorus line back. Well, Chorus line left me several memories because, there's an alum from Chorus line here. So Val, tits and ass, you got to bring those shoulders back. So, this contributed to my shoulders.
But you stand the whole time on the line. It's not like for a minute.
You're arching your back because you're putting them out, and, so Chorus line back. Do I have to act out the rest?
Yes.
Okay. 42nd Street metatarsal from tap dancing. Anyone? Yeah.
And when you say that, what does it mean? Like, have you got surgery on it? Like, what happened to your back? Or you just always feel pain because of it?
Arthritis now. Jesus, I shouldn't say that out loud.
Match.com?
Arthritis.
That's a real turn on for guys. Go on.
Yes.
She's married. It's all
some
good.
Disc compression. I'll talk to you after if you'd like to know more. What else happens? So, and all the bursitis-y things that happen. And so the shoulder is from Saturday Night Fever, from way too many barrel rolls. Am I right? So I'm getting
Barrel rolls
surgery.
when you like turn in the air?
It's when like James Carpinello grabs you by the hands and goes like that. And your arms, you can sometimes hear it pop out, and sometimes it goes back in, and sometimes somebody has to pull it, and it goes back in. And so, so I tore some rotators. And
now you're getting surgery on what day?
Tuesday.
So this is pre-surgery Paige.
Yeah, but, I've been training for it, so, I can move. It just hurts.
Oh, God, good luck, dear.
I know,
Paul
this is
Castro, what are your
we're talking about.
injuries?
This is really sexy.
Well, another show that Seth and I worked on was the Grease revival in, what was that, 94? 94 revival, and I played Eugene. And there was a bit that Jen Cody and I did, She Was Cha-Cha, where she would jump on me and, oh, hey, Beth. And she would straddle me and she would flip herself down and then flip back up. I would hold her right by the, she'd go boom, boom. And when she came back up, I would do a take out to the audience. And I don't know what happened, like boom, boom. Like, oh, wow, that kind of hurt. By the end of the day, and by the time I got home, and I'm not exaggerating, I'm not kidding, I could not. Why is it funny? It's the worst injury I've ever had. Stop laughing.
So stupid.
Literally to the point where our director, Jeff Calhoun, true story, it was on a Saturday, called Tommy Toon, who called Dr. Yamaguchi, who still, does anyone go to him? He's a chiropractor. No, not a chiropractor. Acupuncturist. He's amazing. And I went to see him on a Saturday like this, and it wasn't completely healed, but I came out with my neck not on my shoulder, so that was that. Yeah. And then I tore my hamstring doing the 4th of July Footloose Spectacular, which I didn't get to do. I just got the injury, right? So we were rehearsing it and tore it, and then never went back into the show, which was sad because we started Saturday Night Fever, and I left to go do Saturday Night Fever, so I never got to even have a final show because I tore that. And then a Saturday Night Fever, which is what we were talking about.
You should write a song to, change the lyrics to The Ladies Who Lunch to all the doctors that take care of us on Broadway.
Yeah.
Well, hold on. By the way, you just reminded me, just on a total side note, about Footloose, just random, but when Paul was in Footloose, it got a horrific review, and it's one thing to deal with a horrific review, but it wound up being like The Gift That Keeps On Giving. Wasn't it just constantly?
I feel like up until maybe Hairspray, they were still saying, no, Hairspray got a great review. I don't know. For years, there was always, it's not as bad as Footloose.
Literally.
Please. No, I used to keep track of.
When it got amended? When Saturday Night Fever started.
Correct.
Then it was that. Then it was
I'm not saying I'm a jinx, but it started with, remember the Scarlet Pimpernel reviews? I think I talked to you on. It was the Scarlet Pimple.
Oh, that was the nickname?
Frankly, what was it like? Frankly, my dear, we don't give it. Something like we don't give a damn about it. They hauled that up. But anyway, Footloose, was always the one that we used to joke about it because 5 years later, stop bringing up Footloose. By the way, it ran for 2 years though, weirdly, nonstop.
And the softball team was amazing because I played on your softball team.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Not interested. Ignore that.
Victories.
Not interested in softball. Okay. So this I want to talk about for a second. So my new thing is like being completely impressed by Broadway people. The crazy amount of talent. It's sounding like, wow, people are so talented. I don't know why it's hitting me now. But also the amount of training. So Paige Price, just talk for a second about the dance training that you had to go through as a kid. How old were you when you started, and what was it?
I started when I was 4. You take a combination tap and ballet, and then you take jazz if you're lucky, and then you take acrobatics in Jersey at Miss Kathleen. It was my dance teacher. I still see her to this day. And you just go, and then you go 1 day a week, and then 2 days a week, and then suddenly you're at New Jersey Ballet, and then you're at 4 days a week, and hating your life.
Wait, why were you hating it?
It gets hard. It gets to be like the 2.5 hours a day, and you don't have any other life.
But were you thinking you were going to be a ballet dancer in a company?
No, I knew I wasn't. I wasn't. My physique was not that, and my teacher used to call me Hollywood. But
why? What does that mean?
Because I went when I was in high school to do a movie, and then he's like, that's your future.
How did you get that Tom Cruise movie? That was like a major thing.
I think I got that because I was actually a cheerleader in high school, which my agents told me never to say.
Tell them the name of it.
Wait, why was your agent tell you never to say that? I'd love to be a cheerleader in high school and blonde.
They thought it would.
I was neither, and I'm still waiting for it to happen.
They There's prejudices against us too.
Ew.
Little blondes.
Oh my God, I was always so
seriously,
pretty in
they
high
won't
school. I
take
was
you
really
seriously.
skinny, and my eyes were set wide apart. My teeth were so white. And we go on.
And I could do the cooter smashes. So, I literally think that was it, though.
But what was the name of it?
It was called All the Right Moves.
It was a big,
And how did you
huge
get? Where
movie.
were you when you auditioned?
I was here auditioning for commercials. I was actually at NYU, and I was auditioning for commercials, and I went in for this movie. I dressed all wrong. I should not have gotten it, but I went in and they were looking for a cheerleader, and so I booked it somehow. And I actually staged the pep rally for the movie. It was a 20th Century Fox film. It was my first movie. I didn't know what was happening because everyone there was like methody. So we would be at this
In a Tom Cruise movie?
In a Tom Cruise movie. He was so wasted when they did the drunk scene. Wasted.
Oh, they weren't methody. They were alcoholics. It's a total. I don't know what she's talking about. That's called. Wait a minute. And by the way, what's the height like? What's the real height like, Tom Cruise?
He's petite.
I don't know if he'd want that term used. Louis Petite? Is he like eye to eye with you?
No, he was like, I'm 5'2". He was a solid 5'6".
Was he wearing lifts and or heels?
I didn't see that. I wasn't looking at his feet.
Get back to me.
He was cute.
All right, so since this is like, I feel it's such an anniversary chatterbox, Paul, I just feel like so many of these people in the audience do not know your amazing first audition story. Just please, God, give me. It's so delicious.
So low.
I will begin the highlights and you can give the lowlights. So basically, he was working in theme park, living in the depressing Midwest. Always wanted to be in Broadway, but Paul's first answer to everything is no. So it was like people would want him to come to New York, and it was just a lot of negative. I can't.
Can't tell this story.
Right, literally, always no. Thank you. It's happening right now. So his friend Tim Schultes was like, oh, they're having auditions for Brava Bird in New York, and they want people like you. And Paul's like, no. And they're like, they want a tenor, Midwestern looks. And Paul's like, could I possibly? And like the only time he's ever said yes was that one moment. And like literally decided to fly to New York for an open call for Bye Bye Birdie. And it was the last open call. And describe what your outfit was, dear.
Well, when I finally said I would do it, first of all, I still had a mullet from living in Nashville. So I cut my mullet and I went to Kmart to get a good outfit, which was, remember they were called rugby shirts. They had the white collar and the stripes.
And the good buttons.
And the rubber buttons. See, we're from the same era. So it was. I bought a rugby shirt, which was purple and yellow and blue and green. I thought, this is perfect.
And had you ever auditioned for a Broadway show, like a national tour?
What?
Well, I don't know,
No.
because you were in your 20s by this
All
point.
right, no, yes, I was in my 20s, but no, I didn't have my equity card, which is what I said to my friend. I didn't have my equity card, but they were having an open non-equity course call.
But what were you thinking your life was going to be? Because you were, like I was saying, you're in your 20s. What did you think your career was going to be?
I thought that I was going to try to audition for theater, but maybe in Chicago, and try to get in, one of those theaters that are in Chicago, like Drury Lane was one of them.
You never thought one day I'll move to New York and be...
No. So I talked myself into it by saying, you know what? The experience is really what I'm looking for. I just want to sing at an audition in New York. I didn't tell anyone in my family, except my one brother who I was staying with.
Why?
Because I didn't want them to ask me about it, so I had to haul out the same answer, which was, well, I got cut, but it was a really good experience.
Ew.
It was like, it was like, I don't want to talk about it. I just wanted to go and kind of, I don't know, just have it be my own thing. It's that thing I have about letting people down. I didn't want, you know what I mean? Like, you don't want to let people down. So anyway, I did fly in, and the call was I'll just speed through it. The call was at Equity. They used to audition at Equity, remember? And there was that payphone around the corner.
Yes, of course.
So
We all know.
I thought they called. They said, first thing they said was, how many of you people are non-equity? And we raised our hands. And it was Stuart Howard, who is a casting director, or was. He said, well, we might get to you today, and we might not. I thought,
I flew in for nothing.
Yeah, that'd be an amazing story. How'd it go? I didn't do anything. But so then they called all of us in. They said, no, just leave your music. And they had
Wait,
our
snuff
headshots.
film?
Yeah. What? And then, so they went, okay, you, and pointed to me. We'd like you all to stay. And the rest of y'all, thank you very much. So I say I learned two things really fast. They can cut you just by looking at you. And also when they say, thank you very much, that's not a good thing.
It means goodbye.
It means goodbye. Anyway, so again, my whole thing was I wanted to sing, but first we had to dance, which was what I was so nervous about because no dance training. In fact, everyone started changing into their dance clothes. I was like, what? My dance clothes were what I was wearing. My jeans, my rugby shirt, and my dance shoes were navy blue Converse high tops. That's what I wore.
That's cute for a Bobby Bird, for a kid.
Everyone else was in like those like black. Anyway, whatever. So, but here's what I tell sometimes when I talk to kids when they're thinking of like coming to New York. I said, you know what? It's a nice opportunity because no one knows who you are, so you have nothing to prove. And in my case, there was no one to let down. There was nothing. So I remember thinking, Paul, don't stand in the back and be nervous. Just go right up front and learn the combination because you have nothing to lose, which was nice. And anyway, they read off names and they said, these guys, please stay, which was me. The rest of y'all, thank you very much. So then I finally got to sing, which is what I wanted to do. So I went up and I put my music down. Do you remember Ian who used to play?
Yes.
Yeah, it was Ian.
He used to play Grease rehearsals too.
Yeah, so he looked at me and said, they don't want to hear anything from Grease. But I had only brought one song because I thought it's one audition, you bring your one song. Right?
Second rule.
Yeah, so but I had nothing else, so I didn't know what to do, so this is what came out of my mouth. Well, that's what I prepared, so that's what I'm going to sing. I know, right? And he was so funny. He went, okay. But really, it was just panic, like, anyway. So.
And you were like, look at me, I'm Sandra D. What? Worst audition song?
I know, and I got cut. No, I sang Magic Changes from Grease. I was singing that, and they stopped me, and then Stuart Howard came up, and he gave me the sides to Hugo Peabody. They said, could you go out in the hall and learn this? I said, yeah. So I kept going to the payphone and calling my brother every time I didn't get cut, which is kind of funny. But anyway, so if you know about my birdie, the scene is Kim McAfee. Hugo finds out she's going to kiss Connor Birdie. He's like, I've had several nosebleeds. He's very upset. So I thought, this is my chance. I'm going to show him I'm an actor. Paige, it's so bad. I'm going to show him I'm an actor, that I'm funny, that I've got all these chops. And I go in, I start doing the scene, and Stuart Howard goes, Paul, stop! This is not children's theater.
Oh.
I didn't know exactly what that meant, but I knew it wasn't good.
Wait, why?
Like, hello, Mr. Goat. I just knew it wasn't good. So he got up from behind the table, which was nice. He came up and he said, now, I just want you to talk to her like a real person and just bring it down and just talk to her. I said, do you know what I mean? I said, yeah, I know what you mean. So I guess I did it because he said, that was great. That was much, much better. Do you know where the Gershwin Theater is? I said, no. Do you have someone who can show you where it is? Yes. Okay, come back at 6:30 for the callback. But don't leave yet because we might want you to do something else, but they didn't. So before we left, this is funny, they gathered all the guys together. I have to know Stuart Howard. And he sort of started yelling at all of us saying, did you guys not read the breakdown? We specifically said we wanted freshly scrubbed, all-American teens with Midwestern look, and you all look terrible. I want you to go home, change your clothes, shave, comb your hair, and come back and look exactly like him, and pointed to me. So I was like, oh, you better get to that Kmart, because I don't know if it was there at 34th Street yet. I'm really going to speed up now. So anyway, I went to the Gershwin Theater.
Now, by the way, which was the Eurus Theater.
Oh, right.
And
maybe
that
it was still.
Well, no, I'm just saying, isn't that where you saw your first Broadway show? I just realized.
Yes. When I was in high school, we came on a trip, and I saw Sweeney Todd at the Eurus Theater. So that's kind of that's a nice parallel, right?
Yeah, I mean.
Anyway, and also it's cool because you take the elevator up to the stage floor. I always still said, and when the doors opened, it was like that moment in Narnia where they go through the coats, because all of a sudden I was backstage on Broadway, and I was just in Rockford 2 days before. Anyway.
Illinois.
Yeah, Illinois. So they had all the girls go first, and then they made them stand there, and then all of a sudden these 10 screaming teenage girls, no, some of them left, and then the rest of them all came out screaming and crying and hugging each other. And I asked one of them, what just happened? They said, they just told us we got the job. We're finding out right now, just like Chorus Line, on the stage telling people. I was like, is this how this still works? By the way, no. It doesn't work that way.
But Saturday Night Fever did that.
Yeah, actually, we were sort of at the tail end of that.
Yeah, the tail.
But this is this all happens in one day. That's
This
just
is all one day.
crazy. This is one long day.
Yeah, so then all the adults went, then all the boys went, except for 3 of us. So I was talking to 2 of the New York guys. I said, why aren't we going out? And they said, oh, those guys are going to also play adults, Shriners, and then the 3 of us are up for Harvey Johnson and the Hugo Peabody understudy. So, like, in other words, basically saying, so 2 of us are going to get it out of the 3 of us. I was like, oh, God. So now it's 8 o'clock at night. Everyone's left. It's just the 3 of us. We all had to go out and sing, hello, Mr. Henkel. Can I speak to Penelope? And we just sing that from the telephone hour. And was with Michael Biaggi, if you know Michael Biaggi. He was the music director, and he was over on stage left. It was just like Saturday Night Fever. And we entered from stage left, and we went out. I sang my thing, and they said, okay, we'd like the three of you to come out, just like everyone else, except it was just the three of us, and stand on the stage. And I remember thinking, oh, God, this is it. This is like, what are the odds going to be? I couldn't believe I was actually going to get this job. I was so excited. What are the odds that I'm going to be the one guy that gets cut? So finally, Stuart Howard walks down the aisle and comes up to three of us and says, well, gentlemen, thank you all very much for coming in.
That's right. Two were going to get out of the three, and instead, none of them got it.
But I like that the three of us just stood there and didn't say anything and didn't move because we had decided the two of us were going to get it. So we just stood there like, that's not acceptable. Literally, we just stood there and finally said, so kind of looking off stage left, thanks for coming in.
Now, was Tommy Tune there, by the way?
Yes, Tommy Tune was there, and Fran and Barry Weissler, and Michael, and
Was Gene Saks there yet?
and Gene Saks. Oh
Wow,
yeah,
Gene Saks, who directed Mame.
yeah. And so we started walking off stage left. I was the furthest on stage right, and as the other two guys went into the wings, Stuart Howard, who was still downstage, went, Paul. And I turned, he went, come back out here. I know. That's what I thought. Ooh! But I tried to play it so cool. But I remember as I was walking out, I felt kind of like this. But I think I just walked out like, I'm a professional actor, right? I just walked out there, looked at him, yes. And he said, so you're going to play Harvey Johnson, cover Hugo Peabody, you just got your equity card, and you're going to go on tour with us. And I went like this. I always say, I imploded. Instead of going, yes! I like, whoa. Yeah. So isn't that just a crazy story?
All in one day.
Yeah.
That's insane.
And for someone that never thought he was ever going to work on Broadway, how many Broadway shows have you now done?
I've done 10.
Not crazy.
The last of which was one
He was in Disaster.
that I got to do with Seth, which was Disaster.
And Kevin Roger.
Yeah. And that, it's kind of like what you're saying with Chatterbox. One thing leads to another because then Stuart Howard cast Plaid, which is Forever Plaid, which is how I met Seth.
That's how we met.
And also cast and the Weisslers produced Grease, which was my first Broadway show, which led to Saturday Night Fever.
So wait, Paige, when you were saying that it happened on Saturday Night Fever, you guys also auditioned on the Broadway stage?
We did. We had
It's so
8
old school.
days of auditions for that show.
They had to pay us.
They
by
had
the
to
end.
pay us.
We got paid. That.
Oh yeah, because if you come back more than 5 times, I think you
Yeah, I
start
think
getting
on the
paid.
fifth time, yeah. And they were auditions from like 10 o'clock to 5 o'clock. They would just stay and dance you and change your partners and sing, and we literally were there. And
Was
you
it
wear the
fun?
same things, so that. Huh?
Was it fun to be there that many hours?
No.
Oh, I was like, it's so fun to get to be dancing
you're
all day.
just so stressed out. It was so exhausting, and I was doing a show. I was doing Smokey Joe's at the time, so.
Oh my God! At night you're doing a show, and then during the day.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
shit.
But I mean, it's still exciting because but the stakes get higher and higher with each time. You're like really a whole nother day, but it was thrilling. But then for the final one, we were on stage, and so we were on the Minskoff stage, and we're all just 5 people left.
Well, there were 5 people, and how many roles were being cast? Oh, so it was
We
your
had to do
final
like a
5?
show. The last audition was for Robert Stigwood. because-
Robert Stigwood, like the producer. Wait, were you guys like? Did you have microphones
Oh, we got lobbed up.
for an audition? They put you
yeah.
in body mics.
Full beat, dress. We were done. We were dressed up. I actually auditioned with Joey McIntyre first.
I remember that was the second to the last one. We were
on
mic'd.
stage.
We were still mic'd.
Joey McIntyre got cut.
It was between
did.
Joey
And
and
James.
James.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, so the last day, actually the really more fun day was when it was between me and Orfeh was there for her part, and me, Angela Papello, for Stephanie, and Natasha Diaz for Stephanie, but also for
Orfeh's part?
Yeah, they weren't quite sure, but I think Bernie tells he's not here, right? So he sort of she thought she was getting the part. She knew Arlene and blah blah blah. So when she ran off stage, I was the last one. Angela went, thank you. She went, and then she was in the wings, and like Bernie came running down the audience and went off stage, and like they're fully gesticulating stage left, and I'm like auditioning, and Natasha's like going on like this, like, are they cutting me? It was deep.
While you were auditioning?
While I was auditioning. And so she's out there auditioning, and then they let her stay, and then she came back out after I was done, and she sung for Orphe's role.
Oh, I see. She got cut as your part, and then she came back for Orphe's part.
Yeah,
Oh,
she
God,
was
that's
cut.
I hate when other people are anywhere near my damn audition. Don't you hate it?
The energy that was coming out of stage left was. Well,
I never knew
forget
that.
it. Oh yeah, and then she got cast as my understudy. That's
And cut.
That's another story.
It's
But
all
what
good.
What was funny about that was that for that last one, when we got the call saying come in tomorrow, I can't believe it. But when we showed up and it was just the 5 of us, we were like, And then it was Brian Batt went first, and he went out and sang for Monty. Then it was me, then Orphe, then Paige, and then James. And as you each did your number, it's very old school. I think it was sweet.
it was sweet.
Marlene and Robert Stigwood would come
director?
up. The director and the producer. And remember, Robert would go, like for Paige, for me, he went, Paul, we'd very much like for you to play Bobby C. I'm sure that's...
He said, Paige, would you like to play Stephanie?
Yeah, I think it was very
sweet,
old
it
school. Like
was.
one producer, one
Yeah.
man, like in charge of it all, who could write huge checks. Like when they decided there weren't enough people at the
At the disco.
they just hired like 8 more people or something.
Yeah. In the disco scene,
In
they just-
rehearsals, they're like, this
Yeah.
looks too small.
Yeah, we had a huge advance though.
Yeah.
So okay, wait. Before I forget, so Bobby played the suicidal character Bobby C. Spoiler alert: the show's 20 years old. But anyway, just what I also think is crazy is like how crazy risky Broadway is, because like you are doing your own stunts. It's not like in a movie where like a stunt person does it. So can you just talk about how you actually died in that show?
Right. So I had to. So the Minsk. I was at the Minskoff, which is a huge theater, huge proscenium. So they built a stage replica of the Verrazano Bridge, and which was all just the scaffolding. And I would be off stage, and I would get in my harness with a plate in the back that was attached to a really tiny wire, and I would, in the scene, then I would be climbing up higher and higher and higher, very high, like at the top of the stage, and then I would hang on to one part of the set and swing out and grab another part, so it looked like I was actually dangling, but I wasn't holding all my weight by now with the guy backstage. So the wire went up backstage and down to a stagehand who was holding me. And then during the scene, he would wait for the cue line, and he would let go, and I would plummet, and then there was a mark on the line where he would have to re-grab it, which would stop me.
It would be a blackout at that point.
Yeah, so it'd be like acting, let go. The audience sees me go, then blackout before I die, and then they would take me off like a clothesline. They'd take me off, and then the lights would come back up. So actually, when it worked, it was a very cool effect because you would just see me plummet, blackout, lights up, and I was gone when it worked. If the lights weren't perfect and they saw me sort of go, yeah, they'd see me go, ee. But I don't think that only happened maybe once. So that's how I would die.
Talk about how you almost actually did die?
Right. So then people would be like, aren't you nervous? I'm like, no, it's Broadway. What could go wrong? Should have been. Of course, it's Broadway. Something is going to happen.
Exactly.
Is what I should have said. Right. So maybe, I don't remember, maybe halfway through the run, I let go, and they would stop me about 8 to 10 feet off the ground, maybe like 8 feet off the ground. They would stop me, and I was falling, and they stopped me, and I felt my line snap, right? And there's nothing on the stage except for, the wooden stage. There was no pad or anything.
Because it would never break.
Right. But I remember thinking, oh my gosh, I'm dying. Oh my gosh, I'm dying in real life. Like, they're getting like the best show ever, right? You're acting, your face, the terror. Anyway, so the line broke and I smashed down on my hands and knees. Yeah.
What about, was the guy like...
Right. So the guy holding me, when all of a sudden it snapped, all that pressure of him, hanging on to me as he stopped me, I can't remember his name, who stage left, he went flying off and broke his wrist, so he actually really got hurt, whereas I just took a couple shows off with pay.
That's the big reward. Okay, wait. Before I bring up my other two guests, so Paige Price, dancer, actress, singer, and yet has now graduated to now she's a suit, as we say. First you were Denver, right? Aspen, turned that theater around, and then you started a new theater, I want to say in Philadelphia, right? And I just had Bebe Neuwirth over to my house, and she was like, it's a wonderful theater. I was there for a month. Absolutely fantastic. So talk about, that's high praise. Talk about the theater you're running.
Yeah, it's called Philadelphia Theater Company. It's on Broad Street, and the theater itself is about 12 years old. It's a new building, state of the art. We could fly you if we wanted to, and it's a gorgeous little 32 seat theater.
32.
Sorry, 362.
Wow, that's small. Okay.
It's so intimate.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you should all just come with me tonight. 362 seats. It's called the Suzanne Roberts Theater.
But when Paige took over, it was like totally, I don't know which was bad, in the black or in the red, but it was a clunk fest. And weren't you like, we're not doing any shows this year?
Yeah, I had to cancel the first season.
I love it. She's such a hard old school producer.
Well, the previous artistic director had been there 35 years, and when you do a switchover, you only get one shot at being the new guy, and so.
So you decided to devastate everybody. I have only one shot to be mean, and this is it. Wait, I don't understand. Like, so you canceled the season?
We did because we had a little money to we had a lot of money to pay back, and then if we had continued with a 5-show season, we were going to lose another lots of money. So I thought we get one shot. Maybe if we just cancel and reset and just sort of, I wanted to do some recon and see what was, how our theater could stand out in the market, what we could do differently, what we were doing right, what we were doing wrong. So so this sort of turnaround thing is apparently my new jam.
And what's the new what's the theory behind the theater? Like, we do these kind of shows.
What's like our mission?
Yeah.
We do contemporary theater. We do a lot of plays. We're going to do some musicals now, though, because I think that's one of the reasons they brought me in. Is
her husband, by the way, is a big famous sound designer that just did the Tina Turner show and Dear Evan Hansen. So she's got a lot of music in her life. Wait, so do we know what the next season is?
We haven't announced it yet, but actually tomorrow night we do this really cool thing called See and Be Seen, and we do 8 scenes and songs from shows that we're thinking about for next year, and we invite everybody to come.
And then they say what shows it should be?
And then they don't prescribe it, but if there's something that I really like, we show it really well, and then I make them complicit in my decision.
So manipulative. I love it.
Smart.
Yeah.
All right, let me bring up my other two guests. So everybody, please thank Paige and Paul Cash.
Thank you.
Kevin's flying back to LA tomorrow, and they're old pals they met in college. Please welcome best friends, Roger Bart and Kevin Chamberlin. Come on up. There's Raji. There's Roger. Hi, Raji. That Roger always wanted someone to do an injury, cross, and disaster holding his head on. I said, "What? Why was the head gonna fall off?" We were dying to do a crossover. We always wanted a crossover. It never happened. Okay, so first the depressing news. Kevin's going back to LA tomorrow, which is annoying. He moved to LA because he did that big Disney show, Hey, Jesse. And Roger's about to leave New York because he's going to England to star in Back to the Future. So that's cool. Okay, so how did you clowns meet? I know it was in college, but was it like in musical theater dance class? Where'd you meet?
There was a cabaret at Rutgers. I was in the class of '85, and he was in the class of '84. And in 1981, like the very first week, there was a cabaret. Get to know, on the Douglas campus and at Rutgers, get to know people, and so people signed up to do. And I played piano, so I would accompany some people, and I was accompanying Roger. No. Or you were just there?
I was just there, yeah, watching.
Oh, and I was accompanying very bad singers. And Roger does a really good imitation of the girl who I was trying to accompany.
That's what I knew. Kevin was a star. He was so sweet to this girl, but she got up. It was an open mic, and she sang Yesterday, and she just couldn't hold the pitch. So she kept on switching keys, and Kevin would kind of try to like listen and go, where is she at? She's there. And it sounded like this. It was like, yesterday, love was such an easy game to play. Now I need a place to hide away. Oh, I believe. And it was like...
But it's so committed.
So amazing. It was amazing. It was, anyway, I knew Kevin was a star from that moment.
So wait, so then did you bond like right after that moment? Did you have any classes together where you were like being?
We didn't really have any classes together because we were in a different
Two
class.
different years.
Yeah. We were in the same friends circle, and we all moved to Jersey City, New Jersey.
After graduation?
Right, after graduation. And I remember Kevin famously had a roommate who had accidentally been sold rosemary instead of marijuana. And on his refrigerator was a little bag of the rosemary. It said, just say no. I always thought that was, I'd never forget that. But we became really good friends through that. And then when we did Triumph of Love, I think that just that's when I really tested him as a friend because I would complain for about 3 hours every day.
Yes, and
After.
two people were fired before Roger
Right.
came on, and then it got to the point where it's like, does anybody have any recommendations for this role?
Wait,
Right.
they were fired during rehearsals?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So wait, you were rehearsing for, it wasn't during a workshop, you were rehearsing for a Broadway show and they got
Yeah.
fired?
Yeah.
Wait a minute, so then did you recommend Roger or did it just work?
I recommend
I
it.
didn't know that till now. Yeah.
Wait, for Rizzo? That's crazy. So you were, how long into rehearsals did Roger come in?
Well, there were 2 regional productions that had 2 different
Like
Harlequins.
Baltimore, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
Yale.
Haven or something?
and then workshops and stuff, and so yeah, and then was it Patrick
Patrick Breen.
Breen
Yeah.
was fired?
I don't know, fired. Well,
No,
Yeah.
yeah.
They have artistic differences.
Yeah, because also what's her name was in it? That
Elaine Boozler.
Elaine Boozler was in it.
originally
So
Yeah, but-
a large
fired
artistic
by,
difference
and Nancy Opal came in.
came in. Yeah.
So the Triumph of Love, which by the way, I wasn't fired, but I didn't get to do it. I was supposed to take over the show as conductor, and like right before I began, I'm like, I'm here to conduct. They're like, show's closed. So like, I also was sort of fired in my own way. Okay, wait, go back to Triumph of Love for just a second. If you don't remember, that was a musical. It was Betty Buckley and F. Murray Abraham and Chris Sieber. And, you know, Chris Sieber had a diary. I don't know if you know this, but he had a diary from her. It was his first Broadway show, and it said it began all positive, and by the end, literally, I've seen it. Pages are no joke, actually tear stained. There's literally running ink, and there are holes in it because as he was writing, the pen went through the paper. So I know it was stressful.
Susan Egan.
Susan Egan too. Just talk to me for 2 seconds about F. Murray Abraham and his Oscar. Did he have it in his dressing room? Did he ever flash it? Go.
You know what? I don't know that very well. I mean, I know that I found it
So
once.
he,
Yeah.
he would place it on set. And so,
During rehearsals?
So during the opening number,
During the show?
there was a chest where we got
Yeah.
weapons of war out.
Yeah.
And then we would be pulling out knives and an axe, and then he'd pull out his Oscar and go,
Oh. How'd that get there? Oh. Yeah. He was tricky, that one. He did this other bit with me. I think it was like Critics Night or something. We had, of course, under the theater stage crossover. And it was about like a halfway through the show, and he would look at me just as we were crossing. He would refer to his neck, and he goes, "Are you all right?" I was like, "Yeah."
just to make you feel.
Just to make you feel a little nervous and
Yeah.
Okay.
I remember walking home.
messed up.
Yes, but it's hilarious.
all right?
I remember walking through the streets of Times Square, and we were talking, and then he waves his hand to get a cab, and gets in the cab, and he goes, "Oh, are you fellas taking the subway?" And we're like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, I guess so."
He goes,
And then he's closing the cab door, and he goes, "Well, there it is."
"Well, there it is."
Okay, so wait. So for all of this one's innocence, Roger, please talk about. Someone pulled a prank on me. Please talk about. You told me your Big River inappropriateness when you were I want to say you were stage right with the. Okay, thank you. Go.
My
F.R.E.
daughter's
was mean
favorite
to me.
story.
Go.
Yeah, she does. This poor guy. He's a sweetheart. He was named Sal Biagini, but then became Adam Bryant. So he decided to go real ethnic. But he was. My favorite thing to do was like try to engage people. We were lots of little small parts there. We would come out, and at one point we were movers. We had to quickly move stuff off the stage, and so I was stage right with him and in the wings, and I just was talking about auditions and what he's been doing that week, and I went, "Oh gosh," like that, and so I pretended I was late. It's my favorite bit. And just walked just to the edge of the stage and didn't go on, and he full on walked right in the middle of the Mississippi River as a mover, and there was a scene.
Literally was this scene while they were on the actual river.
It was so good. I mean, it was amazing. So my favorite thing he did too is he did this with his leg. He walked on, he was like this, and then he went. It was a step back, and he couldn't. He was trying to gauge where am I in the scene? Where am I in the scene? Where am I in the scene? And it was like the king and the duke and Jim were on this raft, and they just all stopped and looked upstage at him. It was so funny, and it was like he was on stage for a good 30, 45 seconds, just in the middle of the Mississippi. It was amazing. So he kicked the shit out of me after that. And I deserved it, but my God, it was so good. It was so funny. Oh my gosh.
M to the G. Kevin, did you ever pull any pranks in a show?
No. I was. You were just asking me about Wicked.
Oh yeah, he was the wizard in Wicked for like a long time. I want to say, right?
A year.
On Broadway.
And it's a revolving door of Elphabas and Glindas, and so you're constantly. But what's strange is you rehearse upstairs. They have their own rehearsal space, and you rehearse upstairs, and they're obviously not in makeup. The Elphaba's not in makeup. And then when you do the run through, is really, or when you do it in front of the audience, it's the first time you see her in green. All of the people, Peter Stone, all the producers, Mantello, they're all there to see her first big night.
Oh God!
And I walk out, and the song is "I am a sentimental man who always longed to be a father." And then the whole spoiler alert, they become their father and daughter, but no one knows that till the very end. So I go, "I am a sentimental man who always knew he had a daughter."
Oh no! Oh my God!
Whole plot gone. Might as well jump to the curtain call. And then I realized what I had done. Who always knew he had a daughter. And then the conductor yells out my lyrics. And I have never in my life gone that far up. And just sweat. And then I knew everyone had come to see the show that night.
Oh my God. You couldn't even cover up like, oh, we had a daughter. Not you.
Because I was trying to, I was trying to think like, I just lied and now that's not the story. So just follow along with me. Yeah. It's not good.
So, Roger Bart, I know you were good friends with Jonathan Larson. You didn't know him from Rutgers? How did you know Jonathan Larson? Jonathan Larson who wrote Rent. How did you know Jonathan Larson?
He did a 2-week workshop at Playwrights Horizons of Superbia, which is his first show that he wrote, and after it was, I didn't do it, but after it was over, Ira Weitzman recommended me to do the recording of that part. And so we got to know each other by doing recordings of it, to record some stuff.
And did you do any early demos of Rent? Because I heard Jonathan sang his... Oh, I heard Jonathan sang his own stuff for Rent.
Yeah, we did the first 3 tunes.
You did?
Yeah.
What did you sing? Out Tonight.
Well, it was only, I think, I'm not sure how many songs Billy Aronson wrote, but the first 3 were definitely, lyric-wise, were Rent, Santa Fe, and I Should Tell You. So we recorded, and me and Valerie Pettiford sang "I Should Tell You" together. Yeah.
And that's what's so weird about, I feel, doing a show like you really beyond have no idea. Did you have any idea like, wow, this is gonna be a worldwide hit? Or you're just like, it's another demo tape?
Well, I mean, I knew how talented he was, but no one could have imagined it was going to be as huge. But at that time, I think that he was more unique in the whole sort of landscape of things.
And is the character named Roger because you're Roger?
Who knows? I don't know.
But your middle name is Mimi, so that so that part. What? Okay, where was I? All right, so Kevin Chamberlin, what was your? I want to say your first Broadway show was my favorite year, but I think that's not true. That was my first Broadway show.
It is. We share that.
That was the first Broadway show.
We share that and
the same first name, by the way. His real first name is Seth, but there was another Seth in Agva. No, just kidding. But his real it is Seth Kevin Chamberlin. But
I had a horrible lisp, and it's a really bad name to say when you have a lisp as a kid.
Because it's just THETH.
Especially if you ended up being a thespian too after that. Terrible. It's like a bad combo. I'm Seth, the thespian.
Wait, so my favorite year, I just played the piano. I was just an understudy sub. What was it like? Because that show was kind of fraught. My favorite year. Like, did you know it was going to be a Bommaroonie? Or
during tech, a lighting instrument fell like a foot from me and smashed, and I knew right then and there.
I'm out.
No, it was really sad because it was really going to be like the big.
And it was Flaherty, but it was Flaherty and Aaron's, which paid off because then you got Seussical. So
yes,
they
wrote Horton with me in mind.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
But what was that show that you did that always puts me to sleep? The horrible title.
Abe Lincoln in Illinois.
Ow! It's not the worst. It's Abe Lincoln on board, and then in Illinois. Good night. Wait, it sounds
And at the
horrible.
end, I was on at 20 after 8 and 20 after 11.
It was that long of a show?
3 hours and 40 minutes. And So I would sneak out, and I had a friend playing like at the duplex downtown, and I would jump on the one, and right after I'd go down, I'd go see him in a show, come back with an hour to spare.
You would literally see a full entire show and come back? And this was like before cell phones. You couldn't even be reached, right?
Yeah, it was scary.
Holy shit. So Roger Bart, your Broadway debut, I want to say was Big River?
Yep. Yeah.
And then your Broadway originating role was Triumph of Love.
Yeah.
And then how did you get the producers? Because I think in the workshop it was Mario Cantone. So when did you come into it?
I came in an audition anyway for Franz Liebkind, which I was really wrong for.
Oh, the German, the Nazi.
Right, and so when I was out working at the Sag Harbor Theater with Bay Street, and I took the jitney in, and because I knew Mel was going to be there, and there were a bunch of big guys in the room, and I remember just walking in as Franz and Mel, and hearing Mel going, "He's too small. He's too small, Stroke." That was it. So I was like,
That's Mel yelling, by the way. The weird vocal damage.
yeah. Too small. So and then I did anyway, and then fortunately because of I believe from the stories I think, and I believe this one, Andy Zerman was the one who sort of said,
The casting director.
Said, go out and have him read for Carmen in case something happens with Mario, because Mario was wanting to do Assassins, and that was also pre 9/11. So Assassins then got postponed out of respect for that incident. So.
Oh, so you never got... So then... So,
He got
okay.
to do it a year and a half later or so, so he did get to do it. He just turned it down because
He just
of that.
turned down a
You wanna-
juggernaut.
Yeah.
Talk about your audition, because there's not that many lines. Like, how could you make that role funny in the audition?
Oh yeah, well there was I just looked at it in the hallway, and I didn't know the movie really well, and I certainly haven't been looking at that part, but it did say when I opened the door it said yes with 4 S's and an ellipses, and so I decided I would hold it out literally as long as I humanly could, just for fun, and there were so few lines I thought, well, I'll just make my audition longer at the very least. So I took a big deep breath, and I did it for about 45 seconds. And I just remember Mel looking at him, and he was purple and crying. That was it. I think that did it.
Brave
It was
choice.
so funny. Yeah, it was pretty brave.
That was like...
Yeah.
Have you ever made such a strong choice in an audition that completely backfired?
Yeah. I mean, I sang Stuart Howard, I think, but it was. I think I sang Groucho Marx songs for West Side Story.
Wait, for what role, Anita?
That's what I mean. I there was no role, and I knew that, so I thought I would just turn it into 3 minutes of me. I was auditioning for Little Shop of Horrors, and I decided to. I was so dumb. I made literally every mistake you can make, and I think I dressed as a nerd.
That makes sense.
It was sort of. Maybe it was went a little far. I had like pens, and it's just stupid. Don't forget, this was like the 80s. So they paired us up, and the poor girl. I'll never forget. It may have even been Paige. I'm not sure, but poor girl had just sort of said, Paige, you're going to be reading with Roger, and she just went, oh. That was such a drag. That sucked. Right? She was so crushed.
So disappointed.
She's like, I'm with. Okay.
Kevin, what about you? Did you ever make a very bold choice that completely backfired?
Oh my God, I'm more so with now we have to put ourselves on tape.
Oh, for TV.
And then and when I actually go see the movie or see the television episode that I was auditioning for, I was like, oh my God, I was so off.
Because no one's directing you, you're just coming up with it yourself.
Yeah, it's an awful way to audition. I mean, it's lonely and you don't get any feedback. So, but I'm offer only now.
Well, I offered you the Chatterbox.
I wish.
Okay, take just 2 minutes to talk about a show in trouble. When Seussical was out of town, please talk about the costume test or what a costume parade. That craziness.
Yes. Well, there were some of the minor characters like the Who. Well, not minor per se, but they were the Who's and the Animals in the Jungle, and I remember we would all parade out and then
To show the producers and directors.
The producers. And it was so badly conceived. It looked like it looked like a bad Cirque du Soleil choice. Very French. In fact, they had shipped in French milliners to build hats for everybody, including a hat for me that was giant elephant ears that went under the lights, completely shadowed my face, and you couldn't see anything. But it just looked like high fashion Cirque du Soleil weirdness and nothing Seussian. And so I remember Anne Harada coming out, and she just looked like a round bug with a little feathered hat. And she just went, can I just ask, who am I? What am I? And then the costumer was fired the next day. They brought in William Ivy Long, who was like, everything's thrown out, we're all gonna wear black. And he had just done Chicago. So for the opening number, during all the second half of Boston, we were in black leather tights and black. I had a black suit jacket that was made of like leather, but inside there were red and white stripes. But no one ever saw the red and white stripes. But it looked like it was like, oh, the things you can think and all that jazz. It was weird.
So I remember, I feel like, Kevin, I had you guys on right after Triumph of Love, and it was pre-Seussical, and that's why I wanted you to do the song. And I remember Kevin was like, I'm doing a new musical by Flaherty and Aarons, and I brought the music in advance. So I thought you could recreate that moment in the Chatterbox by singing it, which was Sala.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, and while he's moving the piano, he used to also... Oh, me or Kevin? Yeah, you. Oh. He used to, I don't know if anybody remembers this. Remember he used to make people bring in embarrassing videotapes?
Yes!
They were so good, and the late and beautiful and great Gary Beach brought in one that was so funny, and it was a commercial where he had a headache for Excedrin.
Excedrin!
And he ran a little jackhammer.
He was like a construction
and they
worker.
Said, what kind of headache do you have? And his line was, a real pounder!
Yeah.
And I just remember it was so funny. Do you remember how fun that was?
Oh my God, yes!
Oh my God.
I can't even remember that, Roger.
My husband Michael, who is here, we did a show in this room in 1992 called "Slipping Through the Cracks," and there used to be stars up here. Sydney, do you remember? There was stars.
Yes, there were.
And Richard sang this song that I wrote for him called "Underneath the Star Dome," and I just had a flashback to.
Oh man, I didn't know you did a show here.
Yeah.
All right, we'll do this. I used to get to play in the orchestra pit for this, so I'm recreating my. What year was it? 1999, 2000.
2000.
Wow.
What?
2000.
Oh no, for this.
First Seussical.
Oh,
Was
Seussical.
2000?
Are we singing Seussical? Oh
Yeah,
my God.
first Seussical.
Embarrassing.
Don't you know the harmony to this, Roger?
Yeah.
I will sing along. Here,
All right,
hold,
okay.
keep your microphone.
All right.
I meant what I said, and I said what I meant. An elephant's faithful, 100%. There's a faraway land, so the stories all tell, somewhere beyond the horizon. If we can find it, then all will be well. Troubles there are few. Someday we'll go to Sala Salu. Sala Salu. Sala Salu. Sala Salu. They say people are warm there, people are kind, maybe it's something like heaven. I close my eyes and I see in my mind skies of bluest blue, and I'm home with you. Sala Salu. Sala Salu, Sala Salu, much trouble finding my way there. When I get close, it disappears. If we can get there, we're gonna stay there. If it takes us miles, if it takes us years. High on a mountain or lost on the sea, sooner or later I'll find it. I have a vision of how it will be on the day I do. Troubles will be through, and I'll be home with you. Sala salut, sala salut, sala salut. Sala, salut, sala, salut, sala, salut, sala, salut. I'll be home with you.
Still got it. Come on. All right, back to the mic. No, he still got it. All right, so wait, Paul Cash, why don't you come up? We'll spend 5 minutes talking about how we all did Disaster together and talk about that. So, Paulie, come up. Hold on, I'm going to unwrap my microphone. Here we go. So, Paul was in it from the beginning, and he was also my understudy and Roger's understudy.
And Kevin's understudy. at one
Wow,
point.
everybody. So Kevin was Maury, and Roger was Tony. Roger, well, first of all, two things. So whenever we would be getting ready to go on stage, the stage right side was a lot more fun because it was like me and Kevin and Roger. Kevin, do what you would always do, the old crazy actor when it was places.
I'm an actorian at the legitimate stage. I remember. I played the soothsayer in Julius Caesar, Act the Third, Scene the First.
I'm obsessed with that.
I remember. I still have the clippings. I would start on the C, moved up to the E, then down to the lower C. Beware the Ides of March. Still gives me chills.
And then
Editing Richard Register for that.
and then we'd always be like, hey, then we'd always be like, oh, we'd be like, it's places.
Places? What is places? I just heard half hour. Dress up!
He's
What
always
is the
going in his
play?
dressing room and saying,
What
like,
is the play?
Wait, what is the play? It's like, what, Kevin, you know, we're on. And he goes, what is the play? What?
What is my first line?
And then Roger, we always make Roger tell this joke. Roger, please tell your joke that you would then also weirdly pantomime on stage during Sky High. Your joke about the ocean. Yeah, the lobster.
Yeah. So I was walking along the beach, and I'll do a quick version. Group of people standing in a circle. Everyone was sort of staring down there, and I kind of forced my way in, and it was a lobster and an oyster having sex on the beach. And it was very strange and
Violent.
weirdly violent. And,
Hold
and
on.
then,
I think you need to put this in the stands for the full effect.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
why? What's happening?
Because, well, it's more of a physical.
It's
Just
what?
You have your physical.
Oh yeah. Oh God, look at him thinking ahead of my punchline. Then eventually the lobster went away, and finally somebody sort of said, well, "What was going on there? You were just having sex with lobsters." That said this to the oyster, and the oyster said, "Oh well, I don't know if you've ever had sex with the lobster, but oh gosh, it is something." And when he puts his 8 arms around me and holds me, my pearls!
Constantly.
Loved it. He wanted to see it every night. He wanted to hear that.
So then during Sky High, we'd always be in this semicircle in this freeze around Roger, and he's supposed to be frozen, but he would
And I
constantly
would
be
always
just
go like this.
subtly desperately looking for his pearls. Okay, so Paul Castro, I don't know if you even remember the line you said, but we were doing, so there was a song called Feelings, Feelings, nothing more than feelings, and it was me, Adam, and Carrie Butler. And like, we would each come out and say, I think I was like, I need to stop at a disaster. And he was like, I gotta meet some ladies. Anyway, the point is, Adam was supposed to say his line, he wasn't there, and then so it was me, Carrie, silence, and then he just heard from backstage, Adam would go, shit! Like, full volume. So after the show, of course, he forgot his cue. Who was he talking? I don't even know who he was talking to. But I said to Paul, and I was like, oh, I feel bad for Adam. I said, he didn't know his mic was on. And Paul was like,
Did he know the show was on?
I'm obsessed with it because it's such a surreal.
Tell the one thing about when it was. Remember we said something we were kind of trying to figure out a bit, and
Oh, that?
yeah, that's so funny.
Oh, well, we won't say who it is because it's too mean. Because actually, I'd say the whole cast got along really well. It was like the least bitchy cast.
Yeah.
But we're just sort of obsessed with the passive aggressiveness. Wait, are you going to be the person? Okay.
Yeah.
We're sort of obsessed because I have to say, like, being a woman in the business, to get your point across, you definitely have to put on an act. And that's sort of what we decided the subtext is. It's like, I'm going to sort of like make my point known, but under a very positive way, even though I'm saying something sort of negative. So basically, we had an exit where, we're all like running off stage, and then he was this horrible, weak, cowardly narcissist, and he would run in front of us, and we'd go like, wait! And like we would be like, why? Like, what does he know? Then he'd be like, me first, and then go. So that was the joke. So the first time we tried that bit, Roger was like, wait! And like held it for so long, and I thought it was hilarious because it was like, oh my God. And then he's like, me first. So we came off, and we're like, oh my God, that was so funny. Oh my God, you held it for so long. That was so, and we're all laughing, and she walks over laughing, and she's like,
What is it? I don't remember exactly what she said. What did she say?
she went like this.
She goes, I think we should keep it moving.
But she was laughing and agreeing, but a total opposite of what we were
still,
saying.
I mean, to this day, whenever Seth and I are talking about anything funny, we just always stop and go, I think we should just keep it moving.
But under the guise that she's like, yes, it was the total opposite.
So funny.
I'm obsessed with it.
I love that.
Paul Castro, any memories of disaster? You had to watch it all the time because he was the swing too. Oh my God! So you were where would you watch it? And P.S. Where would you videotape it?
When I was the swing, I was just up in the balcony.
And that is, I have to say, swings do videotape now. When I first began as a sub in the orchestra, you would tape record the orchestra part because listen, you can't learn how to play the piano for a Broadway show listening to the record because it's different tempos and it's like all these reprises. So you would actually tape record the show from the pit. But then once that's like the later years, I would actually videotape the conductor and I would practice how to sub, like watching the videotape at home. So let's just pretend you videotaped disasters. Is that what you do? You would actually watch the videotape to learn how many parts did you have to cover?
When I was swinging it, I don't know, it was 1, 2, 3, I don't know, seven or eight. It was kind of all the principal guys except for, I think,
probably Adam Pascal.
Except for Adam, and then 3 ensemble guys. But you know what I really remember about that show is more laughing off stage. Remember just being stage?
Audience not laughing?
No,
Rude.
the audience loved it. No, the audience. I just mean the cast. We would just stand back.
We had a moment where
stage left and just laughed.
That body was supposed to fall.
Oh
body
my
didn't fall.
God.
Yeah.
Well, I'll say just 2 parts of this. The first part is don't ever be devastated if you think you have to rewrite something or something doesn't work because because you guys didn't do it all probably, but Paul knows this. But we had this bit where Rachel York's character was looking for her son, and someone says, "Oh, I'll climb to the top of the casino and look for him," and she's like, "Oh my God, it's dangerous! Don't climb up there." And he's like, "Oh, whatever! Don't be such a little girl." And he would climb up the ladder, and he's like, "La la 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 do 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 do," and she's like, "Watch out!" And as he would fall, we'd be like, "Ah!" So that was a joke, and it got a crazy laugh every single time on Broadway, crazy laugh. So we get to Broadway, and turns out that song was written for the man's wife, Minnie Riperton, who actually passed away. And we're like, can we use your song in our Broadway show? And it's a hilarious moment. And he's like, no, you may not. So the rights were denied, and we were so devastated because we're like, oh my God, it's one of the biggest laughs in Act 2. But because of that, we wound up coming up with another bit with Roger. So basically, right after the big tidal wave and the ship turns upside down, there was a character hanging from a table, and it was Maggie. Maggie would say, my husband is still alive, and he's hanging from the table. And I would say, okay, hold on, jump on 3. And everyone would get a big tablecloth, they would cross over, and as we were crossing, they would say to Roger, Maggie would go, wait, is it on 3 or right after 3? And Roger would say, he was like, like, you idiot, it's always 1, 2, 3, jump. And the body would just fall and die because they were all the way across the stage. So it was this hilarious moment. 1, 2, 3, jump, body fall. So our first preview, Roger's like, you idiot, it's always 1, 2, 3, jump. Literally nobody. So silence. And then I was like, are you gonna jump? And then stage manager's like, moving on. So devastating. It only happened that one time, but after that, I was petrified. Ooh, that was not fun. And Paul, you're on the
fall, but then it was the amazing, like, slow walk over to cover it up with the
with the blanket was then covering the dead body. All right, well, we're going to close with a song. Paul, are you ready? No, just kidding. These two are going to sing a song. I was like, I'm not prepared for a song. We're going to do a song from Triumph of Love. Actually, I do need a page turner. They're going to do a song from Triumph of Love, which maybe you remember the lyrics to? Oh, wait, by the way, Roger, can you just tell that one thing you were telling me about?
What?
About being the voice? No acknowledgement.
Oh, really? Should
Well, okay, so Roger, do you know Roger's the singing voice in the Disney movie of Hercules? So literally he is the voice of Hercules. So he literally got cast in Hercules this summer at the Public Theater, and he showed up, and it's so amazing because he literally was like
Hades, yeah. Yeah.
in Central Park, right?
Yeah, another role, yeah.
But not as Hercules, but cast in Hercules. I think this is in 2 parts. So I have no idea what's going to happen. Let's see what happens.
All right.
Do you still got it?
I have often dreamed
Applause.
of a far-off place. What? Where a
Nothing.
great warm welcome will be waiting for me. Where the crowds will cheer when they see my face. And a voice keeps saying, this is where I'm meant to be. I will find my way. I can go the distance. I'll be there someday. If I can be strong, I know every mile will be worth my while. I would go most anywhere to feel like I belong.
I'm modulating, I think. Hold on, I'm modulating.
I'm on
Yes.
my way.
Yes.
I can go the distance. I don't care how far. Somehow I'll be strong.
I know.
Every mile.
Yes.
Will be worth my while. Is that right?
Yep, I would go.
I would go the distance
To find.
to find where I belong.
Big finish.
Yeah. Now I'll sing this high note because it's a Disney song.
Still got it. That was a G. All right, so boys, I love the song from Triumph, and do we do the reprise? Okay, we're just gonna see what happens. There's a reprise, right?
No, not to do that.
So wait, so it ends. Okay, so I guess it's once through. Okay, good luck with the lyrics.
All right.
Okay, let's see what happens. What key? Wait, it begins with a. Hold on, what? This is one of those. Hold on. What key is it? Oh, I see. So it goes. Wait, hold on.
You wonder why he was never a conductor.
It quote unquote closed. No, because it's like in the bass clef for no reason. Wait, bass clef. Ba-da-dum.
There's another flat there.
Shut up, Kevin. Shut up, Seth.
You'd think we get applause at least. A thank you note, a gift.
Oh, we'd be lost without you, speech arrays. You get my drift.
But let me set you straight, old pal, the way the world is run. Henchmen are forgotten once the dirty work is done. Henchmen are forgotten.
Henchmen are forgotten.
Henchmen are forgotten, and it's not a lot of fun. Me, I say it's rotten.
Like day-old peas or gratin.
But henchmen are forgotten once the dirty work is done.
The man who is devoted to the family he serves, who puts them first his whole life through, gets just what he deserves.
But let me say, 'twas ever thus, and ever will be, son. Henchmen Henchmen are forgotten once the dirty work is done. Henchmen are forgotten. Henchmen are forgotten. Henchmen are forgotten. I mean each and every one.
Yes, I know you're
Is that me?
Harlequin.
Yes, Miss Uggams. Yeah, right. Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yes, I know you shouted, but no, you never mattered.
True, you gave your all for, but now there is no call for.
No one ever better. I'll write a glowing letter.
Oh, sure, you stood behind me. What's your name? Remind me.
Like we said, it's rotten the way they keep us trotting. Then whammo, out of nowhere, like a ravage hit and run. Henchmen are forgotten. Henchmen are forgotten.
Big finish.
Henchmen are forgotten once the dirty work is done.
Still got it. All right, everyone. Thanks for coming. Thank you, Paul and Paige, Roger and Kevin. Thanks, Sydney and Delta Mamas. Bye, guys.